Hello. I wish you doing well. Whatever we say and whatever we try to hide behind phrases such as money does not buy happiness, we will find ourselves at the end of the day needing some money to buy our next meal, pay bills, and other things. And although we learned from childhood that we have to work hard to get money clean, there are always some people who seek to obtain it in easy and concise ways, so we find that some of us made theft a profession for him. Of course, theft is unacceptable in all societies, and it is not a cause for fun, because it is an attack on the property of individuals who have spent their years in order to obtain it, but we sometimes find funny stories about thieves, because the theft they committed was carried out in an intelligent and innovative way that we did not expect anyone to think of to launch, or because it targeted things we were not expecting anyone to try to steal, which we will talk about in this article. So let's get started. When someone tries to steal the theft, he often tends to steal what has lost his weight in the price of it, so it is natural for us to hear about the theft of gold or some diamonds. However, the world always seems to insist on giving us some surprises, as there appear to be gangs specialized in stealing entire bridges. Yes, that's right, thieves steal bridges, and this is what happened in the eastern parts of the Czech Republic in a small town called Slavkov, where there is a neglected bridge that was previously used as a railway line and turned into a mere bridge that pedestrians used to cross from one end to another, and in 2012 it turned out this bridge attracted the attention of a gang earning money from selling minerals, so they came to the town with false documents that allowed them to dismantle the bridge at once. Of course, thieves chose this bridge in particular because it was not guarded by the security men, as it had been out of service for a relatively long time. While the residents of the area did not interfere in the affairs of the gang and left them all to dismantle the bridge with 10 tons, given that the false documents they provided claimed that the goal of dismantling the bridge is building a new one in its place, which of course did not happen, and as soon as they finished dismantling it into small pieces of metal, they charged it and ran away to sell it for $6,500. It is worth noting that this was not an individual incident. In 2011, two brothers were arrested while trying to sell stolen metal scrap from a bridge in Pennsylvania for $5,179, and in 2013 the same thing was repeated in Turkey, just as a similar incident happened in Ukraine in 2004. As we all know, armed robberies against banks are not synonymous with having fun or in any way, and if you are unfortunate and you happen to be in a bank during a robbery, then all you will get is PTSD, so the charged atmosphere and the weapons directed towards you from it would have a profound effect on your psychological stability. Apparently, we cannot consider all thieves a sharp typist as well. Some of them may be very cheerful, as those who stole Rio Bank in Argentina, while thieves emptied the safe for money and took over valuable holdings of deposit funds. About 200 policemen cordoned off the bank. This led everyone to expect that they would end up arresting thieves. Here, what happened was not taken into account, as the thieves asked for pizza and soda so that the hostages held in the bank could eat until they finished stealing. And then someone started singing the song Happy Birthday, and if you find this strange, there are more, as the thieves say let their hostages use their mobile phones during the robbery, so they did not want their hostages to feel bored. After they finished collecting money from the bank, the thieves left a paper through which they stated that they wanted to steal money only, and they left their weapons that turned out to be just toys, which made the process seem like a surprise party instead of a robbery, and at the time the policemen were they wait for gang members to get out to catch the thieves infiltrating their spoils across a hole in the wall that leads to the sewage system, similar to what Andy did in Shawshank Redemption. Unfortunately for the thieves, Dan was not completely happy, as the conscience of someone's wife woke up when he told her about the theft in which he participated, which caused the arrest of all of them. Which brings us to the lesson from this story, which is that you have to keep your mouth shut after performing a bank robbery if you want to stay out of prison. Since the price of art paintings displayed in museums may sometimes reach fictional sums, it is natural that these places are targeted by thieves, but surprisingly, many museums and art galleries have witnessed a unique phenomenon. Instead of stealing their contents, there were those who infiltrated to put there some extra boards surreptitiously. As it turned out later, this intruder was nothing but the notorious British artist, Banksy, who was famous for displaying his works in the strangest places, from trucks to the walls of the Gaza Strip, and he made a great effort to be able to infiltrate museums to put his own paintings and that during his study of the biography of the famous magician Houdini to learn his methods of infiltration, he used fancy dress and waited patiently for others to be preoccupied with other things to then hang the painting on the museum wall. And it is interesting that these paintings were often kept there for weeks before he noticed someone exists. Of course, this cannot be considered a robbery or a robbery, but it seems strange. Just imagine that you are in a museum in New York City contemplating admiring the beauty of the painting Henri Matisse entitled Olive Trees in Cagliari, to be surprised then with a painting entitled You Have Beautiful Eyes, in which a lady appears. She wears a gas mask. It is worth noting that his actions were not limited to New York City alone, as he also suspended several of his paintings in different places in London, and had it not been for the adhesive used by Bonsky that he failed to install for a longer period of time, visitors could still have contemplated his exotic paintings on the exhibition for many years, and although the story alone was funny enough, it would have been more fun if he had taken advantage of the matter and sued them for violating his intellectual rights. To be a thief who robs banks is undoubtedly an act that requires a lot of audacity, but even the most daring thieves will not return to the scene of his crime after completing the process. So something like this is only done by a completely insane person, but this is of course what the hero of this story was doing. André Stander, however, of course he did not return as a thief, but as a policeman doing his job. Stander was a policeman specializing in the investigation of murder and theft, and his proficiency in investigating theft crimes makes it easy to say that he was with the ingenuity of a character, Dexter, in the popular Dexter series. His criminal career began in the 70s of the last century when he saw that the experience he gained in his work after investigating many theft crimes was sufficient to make him a brilliant thief stealing banks without being arrested, which proved his health for 3 consecutive years in which he brilliantly controlled many banks. Even he sometimes robbed the bank during his lunch break and returned to the crime scene later for investigation without anyone being able to identify it. Just returning to his crime scene to investigate the crime he had committed tells us that he was most confident in his abilities. Can you imagine that you were interrogating a witness who, several hours ago, had aimed a weapon at his head, asking him to give you bank money? Just thinking about it can make me laugh hysterically. Of course, his good fortune did not last forever. In 1980 he was arrested and sentenced to 75 years imprisonment, but after 3 years he escaped with 2 prisoners to continue his criminal career again. This time, Stander devoted his entire effort to his new work, and it seems that his self-confidence also increased as his gang was robbing 4 banks on the same day, which did not end well for him, as a clash between him and the policeman killed him. Usually, those who frequent a lot of church work do so in order to draw closer to his God and strengthen his faith, but in Russia things may be somewhat different from time to time. As a group of people went to a church in order to violate the 7th commandment in the Bible that says do not steal. It may come to mind when you hear that they stole the church that these thieves stole money from the church's fund, or maybe they took some valuable holdings, but their goal was much greater than that. It happened in 2008 in a village called Komarovo, when a group of thieves dismantled a 200-year-old church one brick after another, and then fled, taking the whole church with them. It is likely that such a theft took a month or more, and because the church was not in use, and given that the village is located in a remote location 300 kilometers from the capital, Moscow, no one was noticing what was happening until it was too late. When it was not left from the church, there are only a few walls and building foundations planted in the ground. It was not surprising to everyone, because this region is very poor and witnesses a lot of crimes, and it was natural that these churches raised the ambitions of thieves, given that its ornate construction and religious position will guarantee them a good price for it, and for this I believe that the officials of the church in the country should appoint some guards even with churches not used all year round. It is known that the thief, in particular from among the outlaws in all their forms and types, is considered one of the smartest people in the world, because he has many ideas to carry out his crimes, and for him to plan carefully before each theft or robbery, so that he gets out of these actions with the least losses and most gains. Perhaps the American thieves, Mario Garcia and Domingo Garcia Hernandez, the stupid thieves who gave birth to the criminal world, where in 2013, they entered a restaurant and asked for food there, and then they asked to see the owner of the restaurant, so that they stole all the money in his possession, and months of a pistol in the face, and threatened to kill him, but the owner told him that he was busy now and he could not meet their goal, and he asked the two thieves to return after an hour. And indeed the two left and came back an hour later to find the owner had told the police, and that they were waiting for the thieves, who were arrested immediately, and discovered individuals the police, the pistol that the thief was carrying, what is the only water gun for children. In the Chinese city of Shenzhen, the thief Sheng, who recently lived in the city, stole a mobile phone from a woman on the street, and they fled as quickly as possible, and he hid in one of the buildings in the city, but for his bad luck and excessive stupidity, he discovered that he had entered a local police station, and from his great surprise, he did not realize that a woman with a mobile phone was chasing him, and soon he entered the security center and started screaming that he was a thief and stole her phone, and immediately the police threw. After reading the story of this terrorist, we will all hope that all terrorists will be at the level of his super stupidity, so that we can get rid of them all and live in peace. In 2012, Muhammad Ashan, an Afghan al-Qaeda leader, heard that the police would award anyone indicating his arrest a reward of $100. When this genius terrorist set out to the nearest checkpoint in Paktika province, Afghanistan, carrying his hand his wanted image, wanted, which was distributed throughout the province, and handed it to the police there and asked them to give him a reward of $100. And you certainly know the rest of the story. He was arrested immediately and handed over to the specialized agencies, who surely laughed at him. In the U.S. state of Florida in 2014, a man named Andrew Boscas attempted to steal the radio booth he worked in. He sprayed it with pepper spray, and when she tried to escape from it, he tried to electrocute her, but he mistook her and shocked himself. Then he ran away from the kiosk, and because of his intelligence, he returned after a few hours to the place, until he received his shift in the guard as if nothing had happened, except that he found men security is waiting for him after you got to know him via the security cameras, and, of course, they arrested him. In the United States as well, but this time in 2009, the underworld witnessed yet another thief who has reached a level of foolishness that cannot be cured. A young man, who was not 20 years old, stole a small truck belonging to a shipping company from the company's yard, and he drove it as quickly as he escaped from the police, indifferent to one of the employees who saw the moment when he committed the crime, but after he traveled a long distance in it, he ran out of gasoline from the truck, and he made every innocence and called the emergency number 911 to report that in the middle of the desert road and his truck ran out of fuel, and to increase the stupidity, he waited for the police until he came because he thought they would provide him with fuel and let him go his way, and when the police arrived, they arrested him immediately. Mauricio Ferro, a Brazilian thief with no luck, but he's very stupid. After he parked his car near one of the pharmacies he entered in order to rob it, and left the car open so that he could escape quickly, but when he finished the robbery, he stole a bag filled with money. He got out and did not find the car, as another thief had stolen it and fled. While he was puzzled about this matter, another armed thief came and stole his bag that he had originally stolen from the pharmacy, to be stolen twice in the same night. A moment. The story is not over. Unfortunate Fierro erupts in anger at what happened to him, and for his intense emotions, he went to the police station and told them the details of what happened, and there he found the owner of the pharmacy that he robbed and got to know, and immediately, the police arrested him. They giggle from laughter, and marvel at the severity of his abundant stupidity and his bad luck. Sometimes what stupid thieves might do, may be surprising to a large extent. Examples include the American thief Matthew Allen McKinley and Jolie Miller, who tried to steal a house in Iowa, and until no one recognized them, they got up, they painted with their faces in black, and after they carried out the theft to escape, and although they were out of law, they respected him with a stupid moment, and decided not to cut the red signal. And their bad luck made them stop beside the police car, and when the police saw the thief with their black-coated face, they knew them immediately. And they arrested them for attempted robbery and theft, and added to McNeely is charged with driving under the influence of narcotic drugs as well. We end our journey with the stupid thieves around the world in China, with one of the home thieves, who confidently managed to climb the 5th floor and enter from the window of one of the apartments. But despite his agility and slender body, his mind was also skinny. He could not distinguish that he tried to enter from a very small window, which led him to be stuck during it, so that he could not go out or enter the house. And after the fire trucks and police gathered around him, and they were able to save him from this impasse, which lasted for hours, he was arrested and imprisoned. Thanks for watching. Goodbye my friends.